Hey, everybody. I'm basically testing right now. This program was supposed to be yesterday, but we did have a technical glitch in the sense that audio was not moving forward. So I'm just doing this testing here. Do confirm if you are able to hear me properly. Let me also share the PPT so that we can start as and when we can start. Okay, can you please confirm you're able to hear me properly? Okay, thank you. I will be starting this session in another 5 minutes' time. Let's give some time for people to join in. Uh, this is a very important session also because this is probably the final hurdle when it comes to you people going abroad for education, start living your dream. So there are quite a few areas I would like to be focusing on, including the challenge of immigration. I'll also be focusing on what is that you are expected to do during the first 1 month, which is the most critical for you, so that you are mentally prepared for the same. I will be focusing on various countries, but a later part of my presentation will be more focused on the US because US immigration is much more challenging than any other immigration. All right. And I'll also be talking about why that is the case. So let's give some time for people to join. I'm going to be, meanwhile, continue to be seated here. And if there's anything you would like me to cover, also just put it across in the chat so that I can take it up while I'm conducting this session. My apologies for the fact that yesterday we were not able to carry on with the session. Yesterday there was some issue with the audio. The audio was not going through, so we had to cancel it after starting it. All right, the time is 6:31. So let me start this session. Let me officially welcome all of you people to this session. What I'm going to be doing today is going to be quite important because we still have one very critical hurdle to uh, cross, and that is to do with the process of immigration. Now, one of the things that you need to understand, and that is true for all the countries, including for people who wish to come to India, uh, the point to be understood is visa does not guarantee you an entry into a country. So, including in India, there have been cases where certain foreigners have actually got themselves a visa for India and they fly to India. And when they are trying to enter India, then they have been sent back. So this is not something that is typical to one country. It is valid for all the countries. When you do get a visa, it is clearly mentioned the fact that getting a visa is not necessarily getting the right to enter a country, something that is very clearly mentioned. So that is something that you need to understand and acknowledge. All right, now let me start with my presentation. There are certain areas which I want to focus on. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be dividing my presentation into two parts. One part is going to be a little more general, which is something because I am sure there are going to be students here, a few of whom are probably not looking at US as a destination. Uh, you know, But the second part is going to be focusing on the US. And I will let you know when I'm starting the second part so that people who are looking at non-US destination can probably then log off. Now, why am I going to be talking about the US more? Because for all of you who are going to non-US destination, I need you to have a degree of comfort that unless and until you have done something grave, uh, you are not going to be deported. All right. So countries like UK, Australia, Ireland, all these countries are little more friendlier towards that process. Yes, Australia is actually a bit strict, but the fact of the matter is they do a detailed due diligence during the issuance of visa itself. So in case anything was suspicious at your end, then you would not have got the visa. So to reinforce once again, any other country other than the US, the possibility of you being sent back is going to be nearly zero, if not zero. That is the reason why the first part I will be going for a little more generic aspect. Now, when it comes to the US, not just is the percentage higher, but Telugu students have been singled out. All right. For one simple reason, there are too many Telugu students already within the US. Therefore, in the past also, if you look at it, there have been quite a few bulk deportations of students from the Telugu states. But do remember, it's still a very small fraction. So don't be too worried about it. But having said that, small fraction is small as long as you are not a part of that fraction. Okay, so we need to see to it that we are not open to even a iota of risk, and that is what this session is going to be focusing more on. Okay, let me start with one point. You are idiots. The fact that you are thinking of going abroad is one of the most idiotic decisions you probably have made. Okay. Now, this is one statement you are going to hear quite a few people say. Now, how right or wrong are they? They're not really wrong. Going abroad is a bloody risky endeavor. You are going to go to a foreign country where you don't have a support system, or the support system is not as strong as what India can offer. You are going to be spending money like water flowing down the drain. You will probably be spending about $1 lakh per month only on living expenses for just yourself. You are spending in dollars. And if you don't get a job and you come back to India, you need to earn in rupees to repay loan that was a dollar expense. So is going abroad a right decision? I only know one thing, it's a risky decision. But then why is that I normally encourage people to look at international shows? The reason is very simple. One does not look at one place as good or bad. One should also look at the other option. The other option that you have is to stay back in India. And if you were to ask me whether staying back in India is going to give you any option, then going is a better option. The problem with India is exactly what is there elsewhere. If joblessness is an issue abroad, joblessness is an issue in India. But the problem is, this issue is a bigger issue in India. And even if you get a job, you are actually earning pittance. You're going to slog like a donkey, work under a boss who probably is not very supportive, work in an environment which is probably very unprofessional. And then after you work in such a dirty environment, you come back to a society which again does not follow any rules. I'm not demeaning India. I opted to be in India. In retrospect, I probably would not have continued with that decision. There are a lot of positives of being in India, family's ecosystem being the one biggest. But professionally, if you were to ask me, going abroad has a big thing for you. It gives you an opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to live your life, which is going to be at least financially better. Why am I saying at least financially better? Because there's no denying in the fact that it's still a sacrifice made by your parents. It's a sacrifice made by you. You're going to miss them. They are going to miss you. But as I keep saying, one generation has to make a sacrifice to bring about a social and economic upliftment of the whole family. And probably that responsibility has come on your shoulders. So please fight. For all of the people who say going abroad is a mistake, only you can either end up making them look at you and use that dreaded statement, I told you so, or you can look at them and say, bullshit, man. And I hope 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you are in a position, majority of you are in a position where you can look at these people and say, that was bullshit. When people leave India and go abroad, they grow with set of dreams. Is it worth taking the risk? In my view, yes. Because we have one life and we need to live it our way. But reality is it's still a risk. And when you take a risk, you need to fight a little more harder, because any failure will result in the world turning back and making that statement I just made, I told you so. So that is the first thing I want you people to realize. Now let's talk about the second very important thing. World is not in recession. I hear people talk about joblessness because recession is there. And people normally talk about the fact people who are in US say do not come to US. People who are in Canada say do not come to Canada. But these idiots who are in US and Canada do not come back to India. So there has to be a bloody reason for them to stay back. That's the first thing you need to realize. And probably one of the easier reason is not to have increased competition by inviting you inside. So next time someone says don't come to US or don't come to Canada, ask them then why the shit are you in US and Canada? Second point. Sensex is in record high. We have just breached 80,000. Sundar Pichai is going to become the first non-promoter billionaire because of the bonuses that he is earning. NASDAQ is in record high. Yes, there are certain issues. Inflation is there. But this is not recession. Recession is not a dangerous sign, because recession basically means economy has come down. But any economy that goes down goes up. So for me, recession is not a bad news. This is technological disruption. Companies are not recruiting in big numbers. In fact, they are firing. And I want you to understand, not just in the US, in UK, Australia, India, is because now companies are saying, if I can get the work done by machines, then why the shit should I have manpower? Because they're always going to be bloody pain in the ass. So it's a reality that companies will substitute manpower by machines wherever it can. So the question is, where it can. These are low-end jobs. 5 years back, 6 years back, if you were a computer science engineer, if nothing, TCS Zindabad. So today, if you don't have the knowledge, TCS is not going to pick you up even for ninja profile. Forget about digital profile or prime profile. So sweethearts, when you go abroad, the first promise I want you to make is that, number one, you will not screw up technically. You are going as a student. We are pardon me, forgive me for saying this, but reality is we are very different from many people from certain states in North India, where the whole motivation is jana hai. So they will want to migrate, they'll somehow manage, and they're happy with what they are. And that's the greatness of them. We are coming from educated state. When we go abroad, our dream is not just jana hai, rehna hai. Our dream is also paisa banana hai. So what I want you people to understand is you will not compromise academically under any cost. Please remember GPA matters. You will bloody fight for GPA. But more importantly, you will see to it that you are expanding your comfort zone. You are not going to continue being like a typical Indian that you have been, or I was always as a student. Shy, not outgoing, not having the comfort to seek favors, not networking, all those have to change. So I make you one promise. You bring these skills and then you see how jobs are not there. Impossible, sweethearts, you will get the jobs. People are getting jobs. Just do one small Google. Just find out what happened to the unemployment rate in US recently. Just to do a Google. You will notice the fact that there has been a record increase in the job creation in US. But the fact of the matter is, if the job created are in one skill set which you don't possess, you will not have those jobs. And guess what you will say? You will use words like a recession. You will tell everyone, do not come here, no jobs. But if you do have those skills, that is when you will see the power of the risk that you are taking. So to bring everything together, are you taking a risk? Yes. Is it going to be worthwhile? That only you and time can say. I have always been a risky person. I left a government job, went to the private sector, worked in CRISIL, which is the best you have in India in finance, left that to start my own business. Yes, I took risk. No denying in the fact that you are also taking risk. But when we take risk, we fight. Now, with that background, now let me take you guys through the operational elements. First, as I said, I'm going to be dividing my presentation into two parts. First part is going to be generic, in the sense it's going to be true for all the countries. And then I will move to the US part. The reason is very simple. As I said, US is a bloody troublesome journey. And that is something that we have to learn to understand and be prepared for. Okay, first thing first, please, whichever country you are going, get yourself a Forex card. Now, don't use credit cards. Most of the debit cards will not be useful outside. Please get yourself a Forex card. Forex card is like a electronic bank. So you park in money, you can use that money. It's therefore like a debit card. But the good thing is you can use it for any international transaction. And the moment I use international transaction, that is the right thing for you because you are going international. Okay. But please be very careful in getting the right Forex card. What does right Forex card mean? Not every Forex card is going to be accepted everywhere. Now, that is a bad news. So please go for popular names. All right. Now, SBI, is it a popular name? Of course. Bank of Baroda, of course. But all those are popular in India. They are there in foreign countries, but sweetheart, they're not as popular as other big names. So please go for popular names so that you are not inconvenienced somewhere that you want something, you need to spend, and you have a card, money is there in the card, but that's not being accepted. So reputation of who is giving the card is essential. Now, there are going to be Forex cards where you can, put in single currency usage or multiple currency usage. So I can, for example, keep Indian rupee there with the provision that I can do dollar transactions. Or there are cards which will say that you can do dollar transaction, pound transactions, euro transactions. Now you people are going to one country. Please go for a single currency card, because multiple currency card is going to be a bit expensive and there's no reason for you to spend. So if you are a tourist, you wish to travel to multiple countries, then yes, multiple country is something which I do recommend. But the point that you need to understand is you should be right now fighting for the country where you are going to go for a single currency card. Why is Forex card important? Because pickpocketers are not just there in India. Please understand, crime rate across the world is high enough. You people have chosen such countries where immigration is very heavy. You have chosen urban places. Crime rate exists even there. In fact, in quite a few places, the crime rate probably is higher than in India as well. So it is very essential that you don't keep too much money in your pocket. Carry the Forex card. But how should you select a Forex card? There are certain fees elements that you need to see. For example, when you are loading the money, how much is the the extra that you are paying? For example, your father is loading 10,000 bucks, but the conversion is happening only for 9,500. 500 being the commission. Similarly, if you are buying a product, all right, there's going to be one cost. But if you are withdrawing cash, then again, the bank might charge, the Forex card people might charge. Conversion of currency, they will charge. You lose the card, they will charge. So you need to look at all these parameters before you finalize this is the card. Now, there's one more element, which is other benefits. Now, what we are doing at Condura is speaking to Thomas Cook, where we are telling them that we can get bulk cards, but they need to give something else in return for our students. And this is not for people who are going for UK, etc., but it is valid for people who are going for US, where we are talking to them so that they can give us, our student, a provision whereby they can use, in all the airports, you have lounges where you can sleep, bathe, relax for some time, have food, all of which is free, of course. Now, what we are having a discussion with them is that they will give one such access free to the students, because most of you are going to go to the US will have at least one layover somewhere. All right. During that layover time, you obviously will have a lot of luggage with you, but it's no fun waiting in the general area. It would be useful if you are in the lounge where you can freshen up a little bit, relax. There are quite a few international lounges where you have private spaces to sleep for some time. So that is something that we are doing. For people who have not taken Forex card as yet, please ping us in the group so that we can see if we can consolidate, and with the numbers we can negotiate something better. Now, this is, as far as Forex card is concerned, something that all of you people should be having. Now, when it comes to the USA, there are certain rules. Number one, yes, carry a bit of cash, but please see to it that Forex card is loaded. Do you need $3,000 to $5,000 in Forex card? Of course not. 3,000, 5,000 is about 6 to 7 months of living expenses. But then why am I recommending you this? I'm recommending you this because my recommendation has always, since day number one, I would have sat with you, has always been on this area of visa. Now, when you are going for immigration interview, we need to show them the fact that we have the money. And one of the questions that they will try to understand is how much are you carrying as a liquid cash? So we want to show the fact that, look, I am loaded. Okay. I don't come from a family where poverty is an issue. I come from a family where charity has in our blood. So when you have a Forex card with high amount of money loaded, your immigration interview to that extent becomes easier, because that's one element that is going to be tested. So what do? We load it. So my recommendation is $3,000 to $5,000. My strong recommendation would be keep $5,000. Once you go there, you can then do what you wish to do. All right. So this is only for USA. As I said, for other countries, it's not much of a challenge. Okay. Please make it a point to book your flights if you have already not done so. I know of many of you people who have done so. Last minute is going to be bloody expensive. Try to see if few of you can come together and form groups and do so, because you are going for a journey. Many of you are probably going for the first time. There are going to be very confusing time to go abroad. But a trip abroad is not very as simple as in, moving from an airport, one area to other area of Indian airport, which itself is confusing to quite a few. But the most important thing is, please book your baggage allowances now. All right. Now, you need to have a rough idea. You have to start your shopping. You have to understand what you want to carry. Please don't underestimate what the country that you're going to go is. There are all the Indian things that you will get in UK, you will get it in Australia, you will get it in Canada, you will get it in USA. You may not get as much in Ireland. Even in Canada, you might not get so much in Saskatchewan or Alberta, or don't carry the whole India along with you, but carry what is necessary, shop it and keep it, and more importantly, weigh it. Once you know the weighs, please check whether your airlines is giving you such an allowance. If more is required, pay for it online and get it ready, because if you were to pay for it in the airport, it is going to be shitty, very expensive. Similarly, if you're going on a long flight and you have a particular preference for meal, etc., please book it early. Now, I know it might sound so, why the shit am I speaking about these small things? Believe me, when you are shit tired and you are apprehensive and you are having all the emotions running in your blood, these small things, if not in place, are going to become very, very big irritants. And let's not forget, most of you will not be able to sleep in the long flight. Now, for people who are going to USA, be very particular about connecting flights or direct flights. You can go for connecting flights, but buying two tickets independently is a very danger, because if the first flight gets delayed for some reason and that results in the second flight being, you missing the second flight, then you will not get any reimbursement. So please see to it the whole booking happens in one PNR, all right? So that in case first airlines get delayed and the second one is missed, this airline will be responsible to see to it that they are sending you to the place of destination. Layover time is very essential. When two flights you are going, the space has to be minimum 4 to 5 hours. All right, don't keep it too close, because you might have to move from one terminal of the airport to another terminal of the airport. Sometimes you need to move from one airport to another airport itself. So you need to speak to your travel agent, be aware of the whole process before you decide on booking the flight tickets. Layover location is also very important. There are many countries where you need to have transit visa. What does it mean? For example, let us say you are going to the US via London. Now, you are landing up in London, then you're going to be there in London for, let's say, 5 hours. Then you're taking a flight from London, transatlantic airways from London to, let us say, New York. Now, for the 5 hours, you cannot just, even if you're not moving out of the airport of London, you still have to have a transit visa. What happens if you do not have a transit visa? Mubarako, you'll be sent back to India. So it's very essential that you speak to your travel agent, be aware whether the transit visa is a necessity. That depends on which flight you are booking. So which area should be, which city can be a layover location? Should it be London? Should it be Paris? Should it be Amsterdam? All that is your choice. But you need to find out about transit visa, because every country has a different rule, and therefore it's very important that you please do check that part. Housing, I really hope that majority of you people are booked the housing, because housing in many places are going to be over by now, or the options that are available right now are going to be a bit expensive. If that is the case, then go for the expensive one, because you don't have any other option. But don't go for a long duration lease, go for a short duration lease, because you can always change, and that will happen. There are going to be many people who would have blocked their housing right now, and guess what? Their plans are likely to change, either because their personal reasons, or it could also be because the visas were subsequently rejected. Okay, so yes, a new today, if you were to go, probably there is certain places where it says house full, but it's likely that they are going to reopen. So if you don't find the place of your choice, then go for a shorter lease, and then once you go there, you will be able to get more options, obviously. All right. Now, should you stay within the campus or near the campus? That's an individual choice, but majority of you people will probably stay not in the campus but near the campus, for two simple reasons. Number one, they're going to be more economical. Number two, you will have more options for food, etc. there. But yes, it comes with a little bit of risk of security. But as long as you are going to the right, through the right housing agency, you will at least get a place which is secure. in a society which is secure. All right. So you should be careful with which agency you are going for blocking your housing as well. Okay, now there are certain things which I will strongly recommend you people to do before you go in. Number one, please learn driving if you don't know driving. I'm not talking about riding bikes, I'm talking about driving cars. Please don't worry too much about left hand drive, right hand drive, whatever, sweetheart, drive first. You are going to go to a country where this transport system is going to be very essential, especially in US. Uh, uh, and the beauty is you do get vehicles in lease for a shorter duration if necessary. So during that time, it's very essential that you have the skills necessary for you to drive and go forward. Please connect with, go with a group of students, and more importantly, please coordinate with college to see if someone can come and pick you up at the airport. This is a very common thing. Don't hesitate in asking that help. This is something that is genuinely advisable also, because once you land up there, going to the place is not going to be very easy. All right. LinkedIn profile has to be made neat, because first 1 month LinkedIn profile is going to become an important document for you, a site for you, simply because majority of the jobs in most of these countries, and that is now valid even for India, will basically come through references. But there's one element which I've always advised my kids. Once you land up in the college, get to know your immediate seniors. Find out who are the people who have been successful, and the definition of successful is in line with what you believe is success. For example, if your motto is that job milna hai, then who are the seniors who have got the job? If your motto is I need a job in Google, who are your seniors who have got job in Google? Now, don't concentrate on Americans, concentrate on Indians, people who have the same visa as yours. Now, once you have their name, go to their LinkedIn address. Look at their resume if you can and mirror it. For example, let us say a person has been successfully able to enter Microsoft. Then he has been able to do so because he has a particular profile which is desirable from the eyes of Microsoft. So what is the learning there? The learning is, if you are able to develop the same profile, the probability of Microsoft finding you desirable is also very high. So if that person has done an AWS certification, you bloody do a AWS certification. So you understand, you're going for, majority of your people are going for masters. So you don't have time to learn with time. You have to learn accelerated away. So once again, this is a very important strategy. Unfortunately, I have not seen many people follow it. This is what I did. For example, when I went to the colleges, find out who are the successful seniors, get their profile. In today's world, getting their profile is much easier because LinkedIn is there. And then whatever steps they have done, see to it that you are following the steps to improve the chances of following in their footsteps into the world of success as defined by you. Please see to it that you're also carrying all the academic originals. Okay. Now, this is one side of the story. Now, for the people who are going for US, now comes a very important thing. In US, I will be describing the process in the second half of my presentation. One of the very important things that you people need to do is please clean up your social media and email accounts. Do not have any communication anywhere where you say part-time job milega kya. No mention of part-time job. You can speak about assistantship, research assistantship, teaching assistant, but no part-time jobs. All right. Similarly, nothing that is political in nature. Please don't use Jai Trump, for example, or neither Democratic nor Republican, sweetheart. Till you get your H-1B visa, you are neither here nor there. All right. So see to it that nothing controversial. Avoid all that shit. Don't even like any post which can be construed as controversial, and don't comment it all that shit. One of the techniques that is used by the immigration officers is to go through your browsing history to understand, all right, what they're searching for. So your browsing history has to be cleaned up. I'm sorry, sweethearts. Your browsing history has to be cleaned up. As I said, transit visa is something that you need to have it. Will happen only if you are having a layoff. So I'm assuming that this is not for people who are flying to UK, but for people who are flying to Australia, probably so. And for people going to US, this is a very important thing. Please have international roaming. That means when you land up in the US, you should have your number, Indian number, active. Why is something that I'll explain later, but this is a very important thing. International roaming, Airtel has it, everyone has it. Take it for 10 days if required be. But till your immigration interview is over, you need to have it. Okay? Please mark this as a very important requirement. I will tell you the logic of why I'm recommending this when I talk in detail about what happens to the immigration process in the US and what's the risk associated with that. Okay, part-time jobs, my strong recommendation is part-time jobs are there. Now, part-time jobs will not be there if there are, certain part-time jobs will not be there if you are not exhibiting good personality. And definition of good personality is not the skin color, but your, communication ability, networking, and smartness. My recommendation is majority of the Indians end up taking part-time jobs, which does not require them to interact with people. For example, quite a few end up taking jobs which require them to stock items. They even take physically, intense jobs. They take jobs related to being a security guard sitting in an AC room, looking at various monitors and doing the homework because we are really Indians, all right? My strong recommendation is take part-time jobs which allow you to interact with people, even if the money you get out of that is a little less. But part-time job, how many hours you are going to work, etc., is only a function of your ability to balance money and education. Please don't forget your primary goal was and is and should continue to be the education. If you find that the workload during education, you're not able to understand something, you need more time towards education, that is not allowing you to take a part-time job, then bloody don't take part-time jobs. Okay. In the US arena, there's a big difference. If you look at the US as against US, UK, Ireland, etc., in other places, you're allowed to work both within the campus and outside the campus. In US, legally, you're allowed to work only within the campus. Now, once you go to the US, you will realize the fact that people do work outside the campus. In fact, I know of quite a few kids who make $2,000 to $3,000 per month working outside the campus. All right. Now, I'm not going to value judge you, but you need to understand it's a risky thing. But am I going to say don't do it? No, I'm not going to say that. You evaluate it. There are going to be certain processes which you might be working from outside the campus, getting the money, but the beauty is the work is happening sitting in the hostel. Why not do it? Okay, so should you do it or not is a function of what your seniors are doing. Get a sense of that, and then you might decide to do it. But do appreciate it does carry a bit of risk. So do it only if the need is very strong. And need should not be something self-manufactured. My parents, I don't want to put too much load on my parents. Let me take it up, because it is a risk. If you're caught, you will be deported. Okay, certain more rules. You are in a foreign country. Please understand that. So don't fight. You have to understand across the board, there's a rule. If someone were to come and shout at you, insult you, speak in racist term, you can do two things. Either you can smile and bear it, or you can look at them and say, fuck you. You can say, to hell with you. You can scream, you can make a noise, but do not touch them. Do not touch them. The point that you need to understand is there's a big difference between verbal communication fight, aggression, and physical aggression. Let us say someone comes and uses a racial term, you get angry, you touch them like this, you will be arrested, not the other person. Because physical attack is a crime. So no touching. All right. So you will see many people going very close, shouting, 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 shouting. I'm sure you would have seen in movies too. Those are the postures people take. But have you noticed why they don't touch each other? Because then that becomes against the law. So you need to be very careful. You are walking and someone comes to you, ask for your money. My request and suggestion: give the bloody money. Don't try to be a hero. That's not the place to be, and this is surely not the age to be. All right. All that law enforcement agencies will take care of later. Losing money is not a big issue. Losing life is a bloody big issue. All right. So the point I'm trying to make is you need to be safe. That is a commitment that you need to have for yourself and for your bloody family members who are, believe me, going to sit in India and are going to be worried about you, sweethearts. So these things, don't break any rule. Jaywalking in India, we cross left, right, and center. All right. You stop cars wherever you wish to. Please try to avoid all that. But having said that, it is not that there it does not happen. It happens, but there's a big difference between a citizen doing it and a foreigner doing it. And if the society is racist, now please don't think that developed country means racism does not take place. Bull, man. Racism happens everywhere. It happens in bloody India also. All right. You might not be on the wrong side of the racism debate. You might be on the right side, so you might not experience it, and therefore you're not empathizing with it. But it happens. Now you will be on the wrong side. That's a reality. But maintain your cool. Understand one of the greatest advantage of the developed country is rule of law will prevail. In India, even a chowkidar can stop you in the middle on the road, take your bloody key away, ask for money, all that bull. In the US, in developed countries, prime ministers can also be jailed for crime that they probably have done. So as long as you don't precipitate the matter. So please take care of that element. Okay, that was as far as non-US stories were concerned. For all of you who are going for non-US, all the very best. If you have any queries, don't hesitate pinging me up. But now I'm going to make a transition to the US side. I'm going to run through the whole process. I'm going to talk about the complications and the sad elements which have happened in the past, analyze why it has happened and what we need to learn from them. Meanwhile, if there are any queries, please make it a point to ping it up so that while I'm speaking on this, I'll also include questions, answers to the questions that you might have. Okay, now let's see who is the MyBAP in USA. So far, I have always been talking about VO as the most important person. If you people have been my students for the visa interviews, I would have even made statement like VOs are the gods. And yes, they have the strength to decide whether you are getting visa or not. But gods have their own gods. And the gods, as far as your story is concerned, is going to be the US Customs and Border Protection. They are the absolute authority. They are the people who are going to be doing your immigration interview. So even if you have impressed the VO, you have been able to get the visa interview, you have done well in the visa interview, got yourself a visa, you have a stamp on your passport to prove that. It is the Custom and Border Protection, CBP, which is going to finally decide whether you're going to make entry within USA or you're going to be thrown out. So these guys are the people you will be interacting with. What are the various steps? Now, before you do so, you need to remember, when you are going to the US, you will be filling two forms. Once you are land up in the airport, sometimes in few airlines, they'll give you the form up front. One is going to be the customs document. All right, custom document basically means, are you carrying something which you have to declare? And what are those things of high value? Maybe you are carrying gold, maybe you're carrying electronic items which are very expensive. All that you need to declare, all right? Items for which you have to probably pay the customs tax. The second document is the I-94. Excuse me, sweethearts. So far, you have heard about I-20. Now you're going to be introduced to I-94. I-94 is basically what is known as arrival departure record. So every time you arrive to the US or leave US, you will be required to fill this document. Now, what are the information that you need to have ready so that you can fill this document. One is your family name. Please remember, family name is what US uses. We use the word last name. So whatever is in the last name of your passport will go to the family name. Whatever is the first name will be in first name. Date of birth, please be very, very careful, sweethearts. In India, we talk about day, month, year. All right. Today is what? 09/07/24. In US, it is month, day, and year. Today for them is 07/09/24. So when you are mentioning your date of birth, please mention it in your month, date, and year order rather than date, month, and year order. That is the first thing that Indians tend to make a mistake more by the mere nature of the way we are used to it. You will have to fill in your citizenship, which is India, your gender, passport number, which flight you came in. Please keep the boarding pass of all the flights, connecting flights also carefully with you in the pocket. Don't dump the boarding pass. Where do you live? India, where you boarded. It depends on which flight you boarded in. For example, let us say you went from here to London, and from London you went to USA. You will write the word London there because you came from London. All right. So in the country where you live, India, country where you boarded, UK, country where the visa was issued, India, date of issue, you will know. Address while in the US, please keep two addresses. One is the contact in your college, one is someone else. Keep the someone else address also ready. But in I-94, it's recommended for you to write the contact address of the college. Telephone number, again, keep both the telephone numbers ready, but write the contact number of your thing. Email address is something that you will be yours. So this is going to be the I-94 form that you are going to be filling, and then you stand in a queue. And then the same shit happens like it happened during the visa interview. One by one, you will be called. Now, I'm going to go step by step what is going to happen. You will first be called. They are going to be confirming your passport. They'll be checking whether you are what you are. And then they are going to be asking you a few questions. And they are going to be 10 printed. You will be 10 printed. What is 10 printed? 10 fingers. Biometric. All right. This is known as 10 printed. Your biometric will be captured. Now, this is so far so good. Now, you will continue to be in front of them. What is going to happen then is two things can happen. If you are approved for admission, they question you, they are fine, they will say, click, they will say, all the best, congratulations, welcome to USA, and then you will go off. But the fact that you entered USA has to be documented, so the officer will tell you to go online to their website and get that I-94 record, all right, which you will get in electronic form. This is the simpler part. But there's another story. Few of you, a small fraction of you will be asked to go to another room. And this is what is known as the secondary interview. And this is where the whole complication starts. So I'm going to be focusing on secondary interview to talk about what you should do, what is likely to happen, and what you should not do. First thing first, every time I fly, I always have a secondary interview. Always. Now, remember this, immigration is not just for students, it's even for tourists. Now, Deepthi and I, whenever we fly, we stand in different queues for immigration so that things can happen parallelly. So invariably what happens is that when Deepthi goes in, I tell Deepthi, I still remember it was in Singapore. Was it Singapore or was it Turkey? I think it was Singapore. All right, Deepthi and I were standing in front of two different immigration officers, and we give the passport very close to each other. Then I tell Deepthi, you stand, I will probably join you after some time. The immigration officer of mine, she looks at me and says, why so? All right, she was a very friendly lady. And then she looks at my passport and then smiles at me and says, why don't you go there for a secondary interview? Now, the problem with me is my father, when he wanted to name me, he selected two of the most popular names in the world. I don't know whether you're aware, the most popular name in the world is Muhammad. The second most popular name in the world is Abdullah. And my father selected Muhammad Abdullah as my name. Now it's a very, in Islamic thing, it's a very prestigious name. All right, Abdullah was the father of Prophet Muhammad, and also the devotee of first follower of Prophet Muhammad. So yes, it holds very good significance, but it's also the most popular name around. So what is the complication? The complication is there would be at least one or two Muhammad Abdullah somewhere who would be bloody terrorists. So every time my passport figure comes, there's a red flag that comes in. So they have to ask me additional questions. So I'm always taken to a secondary interview. And after getting to speak with me for some time, they probably realize I'm not a bloody terrorist. So they say, all right, Jao. All right. So, and this has happened even in Islamic countries, surprisingly. But this is what it is. Why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story because I want you to understand that secondary interview does not really mean that your BP has to go up and you need to believe the fact that you're going to be deported. Not necessarily so. So in case you are singled out, please don't immediately start worrying. Yes, tension will be heavy. And yes, you are going to have a little bit of troublesome time, but hopefully it will not be the end of your journey, at least that journey. But the point that you need to understand is you people are going during peak season, peak student season. When you're flying, you will realize 90% of your bloody flight is only students going to various colleges, because you go during this 1 month period. So during that time, if you are singled out for secondary interview, there is a very heavy chance that you are going to be deported. So I need you to be strong enough in accepting that shit, not sitting and crying about it, because it is not going to actually help. But at the same time, I want you to fight to convince the secondary interview person that you are a genuine student. And what am I going to do in the next couple of slides? Show you how to convince. And how am I going to do so? By looking at people who have been deported, the type of questions they have been asked, and therefore seeing to it that we are prepared with the right answers, so that we are able to convince them that we are bona fide students. So what is going to be in the secondary interview? You will be asked to enter a room. And believe me, it is going to be a hellish, because you're going to wait. There have been cases of people waiting for 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours. And unfortunately, the room is going to be a bare room. Some cases, no water. Some cases, not even anything to munch. So please see to it that you're carrying something to munch with you before you go for the immigration interview. Keep it in your bag so that in case you're in a second interview, you have something to eat. All right. Now, the possibility hopefully is going to be zero, is genuinely low. But if that you are the unlucky one, you have to have some support system there. Now, they are going to be then asking you questions. And what is going to happen is that you are going to be, you are then going to be asked about things. But I want you people to understand again, out of 100 people, this is probably going to happen for 0.1%. Okay. So please don't think that the probability of you going is going to be very heavy. It is not going to be very heavy. It is minuscule. But we should avoid that minuscule thing also. And that is where this strategy comes into picture. Now, I am going to be talking about few things of why Andhra students have been earmarked, because there's this culture in Andhra to immigrate to the US. And remember, all these people's main thing is to see if anyone is considered to be an immigration threat, then they should be denied an opportunity. So Andhra people, Punjabis are normally singled out. But again, if your English is good, believe me, it's going to be a big advantage for you, because you are now showing them the fact that you can actually integrate, assimilate, in their local culture too. So even during this visa interviews, people with better English had a big advantage, by the way. Okay, this was again last year information where more than 100 students were deported. But I hope you understand, when we talk about 100 students deported, it is from the 4 lakh who are flying. So I want you to understand the percentage, all right? But I don't want you to be in 100, and that is what this preparation is. I am going to be sending you this video. This is a YouTube video of people who were deported, and then they have talked about their experiences so that you will get an idea of what happened. Now, when these people, both of these people who were interviewed were from Pune, they were mechanical engineers. They were working in Tata, 3 years of experience, and then they were going for their engineering masters in a good college. Now, what happened was that they were basically told that, look, you are not actually coming here for education. You are coming here for being, you are going to take advantage of your experience in education to look for a job, and you are therefore immigration threat. And there was one question that was continuously asked. And that is where I'm going to be giving you the first most important device. The question that was asked was, if you are a genuine student, then why did you not pay the fees to the college? The point that you need to understand is there are many Indians who come there, and guess what they do? They just vanish. All right. So they use a student visa as a way of entering the USA, then they don't even go to the college. So my first and the biggest recommendation I'm going to have is pay the first semester fees. Have the receipt in your hand. Carry that receipt. But there are going to be few colleges which are going to say, no, please come here and pay the fees. So if you are going to such a college, what you should do is write an official mail to the college saying that I'm keen on paying the fees. Please let me know how to do so. Let the college write back saying that no, please come and then pay the fees. Take the printout and keep it ready. Printout is not about you writing to the college you want to pay the fees. It is about them writing back saying that please come here and pay the fees. So this is a very important action point I need each one of you people to do. If the college is, if you can pay the fees because that's a stronger commitment from your side that yes, I am going to study. But if there are colleges which are not accepting the fees till you come and register for the courses, then get this communication from the college, and it should go in your name, and there also your name should happen. So that way college is also in a way, another document which is authenticating the fact that you are a genuine student. So this is a very important thing that you need to understand. What are the documents that you will have to carry along with you? You have to carry Form I-20, passport, and one more very important element. Please look at the expiry date of the passport. Expiry date of the passport should be at least 6 months after your program is over. Not when it starts, after the program is over. All right. If that is not the case, my recommendation is apply for a Tatkal passport right now and carry both the bloody passports. Form I-94, I-94, service pay, financial documents, admission letter from the school, and fee receipts. Now, financial documents would be loan document and your saving document. Both of them are very, very important. Okay, now comes a big battle, all right? Now, one of the things that is going to happen during the secondary interview is that they are going to be checking your financials. Now, loan document is not a challenge. You can show them. But what is going to be challenging is going to be your saving account, savings. Now, why did I recommend? Remember earlier I recommended you to have a roaming facility. I recommended it for this reason. Now, many of you are probably not having your own funds in the bank. Now, if you have your funds in the bank, then please keep your online access and credentials ready so that they can go to the online, you can open it in front of them and show them the funds are there in the bank. So be very clear about your login. Be very clear about the fact that the password, etc. And I asked about the roaming because in case you get the OPT, one-time password, OTP, you get the OTP. I get confused between OPT and OTP quite often. When you get the OTP should come to you, because without OTP, you can't open the bloody bank account to show them that paisa hai tumhare paas. That is why roaming is very important. But do so only if the money has been there for a long time. What if you are depending on consultant or someone else money? In that situation, you need to see to it that number one, the money is there in your account on the day you are making an immigration. How much money? Whatever money you told during the visa officer that you have in the savings. So if you told 15 lakhs, please have 15 lakhs in your bank. Now, obviously, you are depositing the money only on the day of your immigration. All right. There are people who keep it from the day of visa to immigration. If you can afford that, that's the best case scenario. Why do I say that's the best case scenario? Because investigation can happen between the visa date to the immigration date too. But in case you find that expensive enough and you want to keep it on the day of your immigration, then don't share with them your bank account link, because they will see the fact that the money was deposited on a particular date. Then please see to it that you have, wherever the money is being deposited, you have a mechanism to receive an SMS telling itna balance hai. So today all these banks have a provision by which, by giving the right keyword, you can get on your mobile so much balance is there in your bank. Now the beauty is it will not tell you when the balance was put. It will tell you the balance is there. For this, what is required? Roaming facility is required, and therefore roaming is very essential. You should also remember and by heart the mechanism through which you can probably get the balance statement, either in WhatsApp or in SMSs, the access of which you should be able to get in the US using the same number which is registered in India along with the bank. I have also told you about the Forex card. Please see to it that Forex card you are loading enough amount of money, and whenever you are loading, how do you load? When you give them the Forex card bank some money, they will load it here, but they will give a receipt also. Keep that receipt in your hand. It will clearly highlight to them the fact that you have put enough amount of money in your Forex card. That money is the money that you are telling the officer that you have enough liquidity for the initial phase where you probably have to stay, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you have already signed a lease agreement, please see that you have the lease agreement. Remember, I told you, apart from your college, have one person whose phone number and address you have, preferably your friend or senior there, because in case they would like to speak to someone to authenticate your identity, you should be able to have it. Don't have the college persons alone, because they might not pick up the phone, because this might happen late in the night, early in the morning, we don't know. So you should be telling your friend that, yeah, that night be ready if I give you a call, please pick it up. All right, that is also something you have to learn how to seek that favor from a friend. Okay, one more element that you need to understand is port of entry. Few places, this is only a small subset. The port of entry can be outside USA as well, which means that the immigration interview is not actually happening in the US soil, it's actually happening in a foreign country. For example, for many of you who are going through Emirates, you probably will have a port of entry visa interview in Abu Dhabi International Airport, but it is not always the case. This happens especially if you are landing up in Dubai during the daytime. Now, many people land up in the Dubai late in the night. When you land up in late in the night, your your port of entry interview might not actually happen in Dubai, Abu Dhabi. I'm sorry, Abu Dhabi. In spite of the fact that the US government does have an agreement, it might still happen at the place where you're deplaning in America. But it really doesn't matter. But having said that, if you look at the historical data, and historical data, unfortunately, in the media is very limited. It is only last year. Majority of the deportations have happened in Chicago, Atlanta, and San Francisco. That is the reason now today everyone is saying avoid Chicago, Atlanta, and San Francisco. This statement is being made only on the basis of 1 year's history. So please don't go by that Chicago is dangerous, because if you are going, let us say, to University of Illinois Chicago, if you are going to DePaul University, Chicago has to be the port of entry. Because if it is some other place, let us say you are making a New York, then they are going to ask many other questions. Why the shit are you coming to New York when Chicago is the place where your college is? So please don't be worried unduly about this. We are trying to deal with a problem which is genuinely heartbreaking, no doubt about it. But it's something that happens to a very, 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 very small number of people. So don't, go with too much of stress as well. Okay, I believe I have. Okay. All right. I think I have covered uh, the important points which are there. Any question which I have not addressed, or any concerns of yours which you believe need to be addressed, don't hesitate pinging me up. Also, as I said, please see to it that if you have not yet got the Forex card, please see to it that you are pinging me up, so that we can see if we can consolidate people and go and get a better rate. Similarly, in case you have not booked the flights, please see to it that you are not hesitating getting in touch. The reason I say that is very simple. These are small, small things where it makes sense for you to come together and book rather than book individually, because many of you are probably going outside for the first time. A few of you probably have traveled, but believe me, this time the travel is going to be a little more challenging, because you're going to carry a lot of luggage along with you, and it is going to be tiring, because the tension is already going to be in the air, because you do have a port of entry, interview, so the tension is going to be there. So it's good to go with a companion, some company. Get in touch so that we can probably help you form such groups, and then then you can plan how you want to fly. So that's about it. I had initially envisaged this to be a 60-minute program, 65, not bad. So if you do have any questions, you can please write that in the comment section. Otherwise, you can always chat up with me through the WhatsApp groups that we have for each one of you. I do want you to take this also quite seriously, because sometimes in life it's not worth taking a risk. Having reached where you have reached, this is very essential that the last hurdle is also something that you are able to jump across comfortably. So please be well prepared on that. All right. With those, thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you guys all the best. I know of the fact that you carry with you a lot of dreams, both of yours and your loved ones, especially the parents. And I always want you to have the thought of parents in your mind when you are fighting there, because whatever said and done, by the mere fact that they have taken a decision to send you across to a foreign country, they have decided that your future and your life is more important than their needs. All right. So it is incumbent upon you, therefore, to also remember that you need to fight uh, uh, for their sacrifices and make it worthwhile. Whatever said and done, when you're going abroad, it is a sacrifice. But if the whole family can be uplifted, if you once going there can help other members of your family also make a transition, not necessarily staying in US. I'm not saying leave India. Come back to India, but come back in a position of power. What I love about quite a few people who are coming back is they're coming back not as employees anymore. They're coming back as employers. And God willing, as we say, inshallah, you shall also be one among them. All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and good night.